So yesterday was the first day all year I haven't made a video because I was tied down with various other affairs just throughout that whole um, day. But as I was sitting back and thinking about much of the advice that has come my way when it is of the suggestion of just ways in which you can improve the quality of your relationships and the people that you know and how to meet new friends and all that jazz. Um, One of them usually is centered around, well, if you just go to the gym and you know exercise, and if you uh, go and take up being a professional ball player, and if you become something, there's another thing in there. Essentially, there are things that we've associated those involved with these professions as being more likely to have ties to other people, to be more successful when it comes to who they're around. Um, while that's correct, while that is true, that there are people of those professions with those backgrounds or those individuals. One thing that needs to be understood is that if we were to go through the biographies of every player for, let's say, the Raiders, or if we were to go through every player for the Spurs, or just most of these teams, it's likely that one should wager that those players, if asked, why did you become a ball player, or become interested in this sport when to play professionally, they will say they love the sport, they enjoy the sport, it is fun for them. This is something that they greatly are in favor of, and that is what ultimately causes my discomfort when I hear this suggestion. Someone should not take it upon themselves to consider that their interest somehow make it impossible or just it can't happen when it comes to relationships, both platonic and romantic. For example, my stuff is generally interested in romance because I'm kind of where I want to be platonically with people. And some will say, oh, well, you're into politics and, you know, women don't find that interesting. Well, you go and you look at a lot of these pundits, they're, married, they're in relationships with each other sometimes. So we know that's not the case. If I have an interest in cartoons, they'll say women aren't into cartoons. Like, well, that's not even true because we can go and look up people on Facebook. If you go and you look in their interests, they'll say I like this show, I like this. So what I'm conveying to you is that there's not a set interest you'll have that's just going to turn people off. Because there's no particular thing that only men like or only females like. And if there is something that traditionally men are into, we all have multiple interests. No one, variety is just the spice of life. You have to have separate things that excite you. So when they talk about, well, if you're not a ball player, okay, well, this is less likely to happen. Most people are not ball players. And a good chunk of people, essentially I'm conveying is that the number is too high of people who have been in relationships or are in relationships or are married that didn't play ball professionally, and who don't play ball at all. That's not impossible and it's not hard. Really, it comes down to a set of ideas, that as a society, if you do not adhere to the standard views of masculinity within entertainment. So, for example, you'll have the male who's playing the ball, who's the ball player, and you'll have the male who's the rapper, and you'll have there's this idea that those are what people are into, and that's kind of true because that's kind of what we see most of the time. You're more likely to get publicity as a rapper or as a professional ball player than you are to get noticed by anywhere if you're a construction worker or a McDonald's employee. Not to say those are bad professions, you're up and coming. And that's something that people fail to realize. So when I saw those comments, I'm sitting here kind of scratching my head, trying to uncover, okay, what's the, what is the rationale for telling me this? I'm not going to completely drop what I am or drop anything about me in terms of what I'm into just so I can adhere to a suggestion by a person who doesn't even know and can't even assure that this will work 100% of the time. The worst feeling in the world, and it is, I know it because I have felt it, is when you only do something to appease another person or to gain some kind of standing with a certain kind of person and it doesn't happen. So for example, let's say a person who doesn't want to be a ball player becomes a ball player, and this guy hates going to the locker room. He hates being away from, this regular pattern of life ahead. Before that, and he thinks, oh, it's all right. I'm going to get, some romantic interest and she'll make the whole thing better. And he plays one game, and he plays another game, and he plays 2 more games, and 3 more, and 5 more, and 10 more, and 15 more. And this woman doesn't appear. And he realizes, I just wasted my time, playing this game, and nothing happened. Remember, he's not playing this because he enjoys it or because that's the main thing he's into. He's playing it to get the approval of some woman that has been said to be into this that he's not even aware of. So he's playing all these different games with the intent of expanding the category of their interest, not his own. He's not making some set of reasons for why he's playing this game as he's going along. People like that where you start playing something and it's only for this reason, then you get more. So for example, you picked up Halo 3 one day. I know that game's old at this point, but you pick up Halo 3 one day. At first you saw, oh man, I love playing this game because I get to fight aliens. Then you go on multiplayer. Oh man, I love playing this game because I get to fight aliens with other people. He doesn't get that. His life is going and practicing, playing the game, being on the paper, having his picture taken with some random fans. That's it. Living up in some decent house by himself. And that's not a bad life in terms of what you accomplished, but it's a bad life when it's not what you wanted to accomplish. If I were, say, wanting to be known for my political views and videos about those topics, and then all the relationship ones blow up and get, large chunks of views, and that's what I'm known. I'm known as the relationship guru. Fuck that. Do something you like to do? Do something you want to do? Yeah, that's the gist of it. But again, it goes back to what I was saying. So if I was only known for the relationship stuff, that would bother me. That would disappoint me. And it wouldn't be bad necessarily to be known as the person who spoke so eloquently about the ways in which males were wronged in society. But I'm saying, if that is what ultimately I'm known as, that would disappoint me, and it wouldn't be what I would want. So it's not bad in of itself, but if it's not to the wishes of the person it befalls, what good is it? It's like the guy that is homeless that wants to stay homeless and he wins the lottery. Yeah, it's not bad that he won the lottery, but he doesn't see it as good either. And really, that's the fundamental disconnect. I feel a lot of people who are so quick to say, oh, just go do this. Just go try this. And there are things, and let's not beat around the bush here. I'm not the kind of person who's genuinely enjoyed, going to settings where there are various people. How do I make that not sound cryptic? Let's say some shopping mall or Well, I take that back. I'll go to places of that nature, but I'll go there for one or two reasons, pick up the things I want, be out the door. They will, in effect, say, oh, well, you're doing that only because you want to meet with women. It's like, yeah, that's why I'm doing it, because I only want to meet with women. I'd go there regardless, probably, but I wouldn't stay there and look around unless for that purpose. And it's something that is seemingly being avoided when it comes to the mind frame of what is in effect a large quantity of people who just hold that belief that if you don't get these muscles, man, if you don't spruce this stuff up. Look, there are guys of every race, of every shape, of every size that have succeeded at some point in if it's speaking about romance here. That's why it's hard for me to believe that one's overall appearance is it doesn't register to me that I'm now doomed because I look this way. The other two people in the chat room are doomed because they look their way. I had a guy who came on one of the videos about, whoa, make sure that you gotta check your hair. So I can only make my hair look like this. I can't do anything else to it. So I don't know what he's talking. Again, trying not to get off subject here. So the moral of the, I guess, story, which I hope in saying that, I'm now going to have someone say this is all made up. Let's all get ready for that. Do not become convinced that you must start some new hobby or new objective just to interest another person. That's a horrible way of being into anything, because you're only going to want to pursue something and feel good about it if it's something you want to pursue. Two people watching this are watching because they presumably want to watch me. No one's forcing them. No one's telling them, if you get in this chat room, you'll get some gas. Now I'm getting what I'm game for. It's breathtaking. Put on an omnipotent level. Yeah. Well, you have to understand, and I don't mean to down talk you here. There is a recurring trend within the world to have the guy take on this role of trying to appear the most marketable in sometimes large fields of other males. And it becomes this game. It's almost if I could compare it to anything, and I don't want to turn this into something political because I know a lot of people have different ideologies. So I'm going to try the best not to make it that way. Remember last year and the year before last, the Republican primary, that had 17 people. It was the largest field of candidates in the primary in American history for a major party. Now, sometimes these, with a lot of these, with some women, they have multiple guys that, even if they're not even sometimes aware, that are all vying for, oh man. And that guy, to his credit, and I don't mean to turn this into something of saying that every woman has that. It's not, I'm not saying that, but you have some that do get, like celebrities, they have that. They have 17 times 17 times 17 times 17 times 17 scattered all over the place like this. That ends up being the reason why they become less and less willing to just try things with people. Oh, this guy wants my autograph. He probably just is trying to find some way to sneak and ask for my number. Celebrities are worried about those types of individuals. And I guess they have reason to be. Look at what happened to Schaefer. But I don't want to get off topic. Oh, think about this. The last time... No, scratch that. When was the last time you ever saw someone, whether they were celebrity or non-famous, that was in some executive position that was not in a relationship or known to be in one. And I don't want to turn this in, but so hear me out. If you're the CEO of Walmart, you're not going to have trouble with, appearing attractive. Not to say that all women are gold. I have to keep saying not to say that not all, because people try to paint the men's rights misogynist thing. I'm both sometimes, according to some people. But think about that. When was the last time you heard of a CEO of a company that was very successful, just being single and having nobody? When was the last time you heard that? I can't think of it. And the reason you can't think of it either, probably, is because in any position of power, whether it's at a local level, like a CEO of a company, or at least a manager of some restaurant, or it's some celebrity on a national level, like you guys are aware of these singers. I don't need to mention anyone by name. They're not going to have to worry about, how do I appeal to this person? How do I make them think they should want me in my music, or particularly their music? They typically, I'm using the same word over and over again. They will go and decipher, okay, well, this won't work because, I feel so I can vividly see, generally see entertain and be single and powerful. Yeah, but you gotta understand, a lot of those entertainers, one of the main reasons they're single is because they've played out their options. So, for example, if anyone goes back and looks at the I think it was J. Rand Teraboli's biography on, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, on Michael, and I think Michael I'm talking about, out of the Jacksons. Back during his tenure with the Jackson 5, it was described in that novel that there was a young woman who was, men would pay her for, I don't know if she was an escort, prostitute, whatever. Men paid her for acts, who threw herself at Michael and said, I typically take cash for this, but I like you so much, I'll do it for free. Michael wouldn't take it, according to this that biography. If you don't believe me, I will. If someone comments after this live stream is over, I'll post the page number. You can go in there and check it out yourself. I don't know why people, even if you cite things, people still say you're making that up. You're making that up. You're making that up. Like, here's a link from CBS. You're making that up. Here's a link from ABC. You're making that up. Here's a link from Political. You're making that up. Here's a link from The Hill. You're making that up. I don't know what else you want from me other than a citation that tells you what I'm saying, except from a knowledgeable and actually accurate source. So think about it. As an entertainer, he could have exploited his position, chose not to, and that's really what needs to be conveyed here. A lot of times you get in those positions of power, you become less faithful to the people around you. I would have denied, especially if I was. I'm not saying you wouldn't have, but you get the point that when you get to that position, you kind of. I don't mean to turn this into some discussion on certain act. I didn't want to bring him up, but it's for the sake of saying, to illustrate the point I'm making, which is that you can't have a society where there's a group of people who, are not famous. They're being encouraged to be famous, not to, show off their talent, not to create something, not to better the lives of everyone around them, not to restore democracy, but to impress the opposite sex. And that's not a good starting point. Sorry, I'm having a little heart thing. For these types of communications. And I would hope that many of those who are involved with that mentality would just stop that altogether. I'm debating whether or not I want to do a separate live stream on the subject of retroactive interest, which, to give you an idea of what that would be about, it has to do with. So I had a woman that came on my comment section, was like, "Oh, you know, if I'd known you before, I would be interested." And I didn't say anything because I don't typically respond. But it's on those kinds of comments and on how people only in hindsight will go and actually want to do things with you. And it's never ones who actually, you can know based off of your own experiences whether or not that would have actually turned out if that person had been there. So I'm debating if I want to keep that, include that in here, or host something separate. Um, it's wow, 5 people. I'm so proud. It's very telling that I went into that comment section, and now it's 4. I went to that comment section and saw the guy who, and mind you, there's also another site I frequent, or I used to, where there was a guy who was saying, "Yeah, man, go to the gym. Yeah, it will definitely," because me and him were kind of relating on having trouble with romance, and he advocated for becoming involved with these types of congrats on. I'm assuming that's on a video or something else. I'll say if this got that much, I'd be so shocked. I think my eyes would just pop through the glasses and hit the floor, and we'd have made history. From ridiculous, I don't know what that would be, diseases and illnesses, eye popping disease, from shock. So going back to what I was trying to, yeah, well, I mean, people have been flocking to that for and it's strange because most of the other stuff is on that same topic. I just think the title is more alluring than the others probably, but I don't get it. I'm not really even thinking about it optimistically because my whole thing is you're getting 4 sets of comments on that. One is sympathy, which is nice. 2, advice, which depending on what it is whatever. 3, justifications on why it didn't work. It's you. 4, some gross troll nonsense, and it's that always kind of freaks me out because I don't consider myself popular or otherwise of any notoriety. So when I have some group of people go on there over a course of months and say different things that they know aren't nice or just messed up, that shocks me, and it also disappoints me because you don't establish any narrative by going after other people. If you have a problem with what I had to say within the context of something I put out, then by all means comment down, break down what I said that you didn't really appreciate or otherwise like. Then we can have a dialogue and get to some idea of where we differ and why things are, why the other person views something the other way. But there's this absence of communication that is continuing to destroy society on a national level. And it's part of the reason why you have a lot of males who, when they are turned down, are often cited as upcoming shooters or closeted homosexuals. It's due to the fact that when you live within a culture that tells you that by a certain age you must or should be with someone, and if you are not, then there is something wrong with you. It correlates. It goes together. And I've tried to not keep that mentality in mind when I go about doing the things that I do, whether that's hanging out with someone or approaching another time. They're all based around how far can I go with that person in that moment, and not, oh man, what are they gonna say about me now? So I don't get it. That thing's views are out of nowhere and unnecessary. It is what it is. Now, another topic I might go into. So there are two different streams I want to do. One on the retroactive interest, which I'm debating how I would do that because part of me wants to show what's true, the other part doesn't, because it's just not, I don't like calling out who the other person is. Another one could be on the false promise epidemic, which is what caused. I had a stream about 2 weeks ago. Um, Essentially, what that is that, so let's say I'm a female or a woman, and if anyone on here, the other end is a man. You give me some flowers, you talk to me. I give you some flowers to talk to you. We seemingly like each other, and you ask me, Justin, will you go out? And I go, oh yes, I'll go out with you. And then you come back in like 3 days, and I say, oh, well, thank you. That's the other one I might do, because I've had that twice this year, with various women that I've met, where they agree to some kind of, I don't want to say deal, but you offer it's, I guess it's a proposal, and they accept, then they back out of it, and that's strange to me, because when you know how you feel about a person, I would think you just go ahead and do whatever you want with the person. I'm just saying, if I had some woman that I'd been, vying for weeks or a year or a month or whatever, tell me that she was interested, I would reciprocate with interest. I would show how I feel back, and that would be based around the idea that if I can't show this person how I feel, how can I expect them to show me how I feel? So how can I expect them to show me how they feel? Rather. So it's either going to be one of those two things. I'd rather the four watching tell me which one they want, because I don't know which one I do over the other. I'm leaning more toward the first one, primarily, going into the part where, my memory just drew a blank. I'm forgetting about the first one. I'll just go back and watch it. Third one. Okay, TFL. I want to make sure the second one is the. I don't think I said the third one. The second one though is the backing out. Where remember, this is how it goes. You offer the person something. Typically, hey, let's do this. They say yes, then they pull out. That's what I'm going with. That's what I thought that's what the second one's going to be. The first one, if I'm trying to remember, what was it? Oh, that's what I hate about live stream. I can't go back and play it, or I have to log into some other account and then get on the computer and go, oh, live, new video, and then go click it and then play back. Then you can hear the audio going off in the background, and then like three of you are gonna leave, and that's just gonna be me and one other person is probably not even speaking. So since there was only a vote for two, I'm gonna do two. There's one more minute to vote before I discuss the other intricacy of this, and we'll see where that goes. And that'd be funny if the other people forgot as well. I hate doing this because it's when you know someone is watching, but then I have things to say. I just don't know if I should say them while someone's having their minute of deliberation. Do I want one? Do I want two? And then you get a little Jeopardy music. I don't want that kind of atmosphere where you just stare at me and think, what is he looking at? What is he waiting to say? What's going on? So I'm in a way reluctant to do. That's one of the worst things about doing a live stream that's not like 3 minutes long. You know that not 10 people are going to come in, and it's always only going to be one or maybe none. And you just go through and get out, which is what I thought this was going to, because a lot of times if I see a continuous number of people invest in it, I'm more tempted to keep it going. Just me and one guy, or all right, whatever. Especially when it's at a time where there's not really any noise or background interruptions, then yeah, it could just keep going. But I'm not really fond of playing games when it comes to doing this stuff. So if I'm probably going to do both. But I'm picking the order, and it's likely going to be two first. I just hate that I forgot the first one because I like to believe I have long-term memory, but it just slipped my mind, and I feel very disturbed and saddened by it. Oh, now I remember the first one was retroactive acceptance, and that title I already know is going to mean nobody clicks that. It's when someone that didn't know you at a specific time in your life tells you that, or currently will tell you that if I had met you 3 years ago, if I had met you 5 months ago, if I had met you 8 years ago, I would have been all into you. That's what I've had happen a couple of times in both the comments and just across the hemisphere of the realm of these interactions. That's why I stopped looking for. Yeah. Notice that it's always conveniently not you're just conveniently not there. Like I've had some women I've met who've discussed different types of relationships they've been involved in. I displayed psychotic behavior. They were all on me, I'm sure. There's actually a small subsection of, I'd want to say probably not women, but there's this group within that category, or a category within the group, whichever way of saying it, that if you speak to them about something, they're not interested in you. They do this thing where instead of just saying I don't want you, they'll go, okay, well, if I had met you 2 months ago, and it goes back to, so now I'm thinking, okay, I might just put that in the timestamp one, or because the timestamp one is, well, we've only known each other for a couple of days. We've only known each other for a couple of weeks. We've only known each other for a couple of years. We've only known each other for a couple of decades. We've only known each other for a couple of minutes. We've only known each other for... I cannot count how many times I have had someone use that as the rationale for not pursuing anything seriously. And every time they do it, I get irritated. Not at them necessarily, but when you have to go out and meet another person again, not only is that person likely to say the same thing because you literally just met them, but they're also they're more justified. You just met them. I'll have women I've talked for months ago. We've only known each other for a couple of months. We've only known each other for a couple of days. I can't stand it. It is, I don't even want to bother. Another characteristic of that is when, and also keep this in mind. You have 365 days in a year. Okay, if you've known each other for a month, you've known each other for a 12th of a year. Women, okay, you're talking to Josh. Okay, you've known somebody for a 12th of a year, with every 30 days or with every month. Now, when that happens, you would think, okay, well, I've known you for this fraction of this year, but hey, we're going to get to know each other over the course of, trying to make something work here, / entering a relationship, whatever, the works. And they will still tell you, we've only known each other for a couple of weeks. We've only known each other for a couple of days. We've only known each other for a couple of months. I might end up, that likely is the one I'm probably going to end up doing. And it's going to be called timestamp. Because that's all that is. No, TFL, you want to laugh, but tell me that's wrong. There was a, and I hate doing this because I don't want to have to go and regurgitate. So, a couple of examples. There was a woman I met last year. Got on the phone with her. She's talking about what kind of guys she likes. Apparently I'm matching this description, quote unquote. And one of her things was, oh yeah, we're having a really good time speaking, but I've only known you for a couple of hours. I spoke to her for another 5-6 months. Nothing worked out. I actually spoke to her earlier this year. Nothing worked out. Then there was another one very recently ago, a short time ago, who, over the course of me trying to get to know her and being met with opposition every other day, said something to the effect of, "We've only known each other for a couple of days. We've only known each other." Spoke to her for a month and nothing. There was another one who I knew for whatever. So I'll tell you when the amount I say in this will be the actual time. Offered to go on some kind of thing with her. She goes, "We've only known each other for a month." I mean, what? So if 31 days pass, 32, whichever day is a month and one more, is that enough? Yeah, it's excuses. But again, I don't want to go and tell all this in this because in this. Yeah, my grammar is off fleek. That's how you young people say it. Uh, I will likely come back and do another one probably at this time tomorrow. No, not no, maybe because I don't scheduling is so I'm assuming that if you're subscribed, you'll know. Enable notifications, whatever. We'll see from there. But I think it will be one worth checking out. If you want to come, that's good. If you don't want to come, well, I tried. So thank you.